Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, everybody? It's another episode of the Cogcast podcast. This is a podcast that didn't happen last week.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. We're sorry about that, but as most of y'all know, I have been a little unwell. If you don't know, I got sick from a tick bite. It happened. Let's see here.
Eight days ago.
8 days ago.
Last Thursday.
That Thursday evening, I went to go upload videos and podcasts to the camper.
Well, first we had been here all day.
We'd been here all day. We had been, as most of y'all know, that we had a family come down from Seattle, Washington to look at this farm to be a potential buyer that you have been talking to for about 4 or 5 months now. And so we were getting the place ready. We've been getting the place ready to move.
Well, we knew no matter what, we were moving.
Exactly. And so we just been working, and we were moving some stuff on the side of the house that day. Mm-hmm. And then that evening, me and Arla went to the camper, and I went to go upload videos, and I remember just...
Oh, we went too.
Y'all went that evening with me?
We went too.
But y'all left.
We left.
Yeah. And I was just...
tired.
Just got where I could hardly keep my darn eyes open, and that's really, really strange. And I was like, wow. So I just eventually just gave in. And matter of fact, I remember just leaving my stuff up and letting it upload.
Yeah, because I told you, I said, why don't you just stay here tonight?
Yeah. And
we'll go on back home, and you can unload the stuff whenever, you get rested. And we had another vehicle there, so we would have just drove it back.
Right.
And that's what we did. We all ate dinner there.
Yep.
We ate dinner there, and you didn't eat very much.
We did, because we went to our favorite restaurant, the Flying Peach, and I had their barbecue nachos for the first time.
Yes.
And they were awesome.
No, you did eat pretty well.
I did eat pretty well.
Okay, that's right.
Because as a matter of fact, I thought that's what made me so sleepy. That was my first
thought. You overate?
I thought just like Thanksgiving. You know how you eat so much on Thanksgiving and you just can hardly keep your head. That's what I was thinking that kind of had happened to me.
Food seems to affect you that way. It doesn't do me that way. I just continue to eat.
Right.
Well, I don't go to sleep. I just keep on eating.
Well, I thought that's what it was. And then, so finally I gave in. Well, crazy as it sounds, as exhausted and as sleepy as I was, I couldn't go to sleep. And I pretty much stayed up tossing and turning all night. So the next day I woke up and I just felt like garbage. I mean, I was just did not feel well at all. And I just assumed it was because that I didn't sleep. Yeah, that's just what I thought.
So you sent me a text and you told me you stayed up all night long.
Stayed up all night.
And I was like, what?
Yep.
And Marycarl has a tendency to do that when she's coming down sick.
Yes.
I usually know when she's getting sick because the night before she's getting noticeable symptoms, she stays up all night.
Yep.
And I stay up with her and we just, have a all-nighter.
Yeah. Well, as the day went on, as the morning went on, I just started feeling worse and worse and worse. And then I remember sending you a text telling you that I think I have a fever.
Yeah, you told me that you were pouring sweat.
Yep.
And the next minute you would be freezing and that you felt like you had a fever.
I did.
And so he didn't want to give us anything that he had.
Exactly. So I told you, I said, if I'm coming down sick with something, let me stay here away from y'all because I don't want anybody else to get it.
But he didn't have any Tylenol.
No.
And he didn't have a thermometer.
No.
And he didn't have enough food to hold him over,
a day or two.
Yeah. So I went and got you some things that I thought that you could take care of yourself, some cans of soup and
Mm-hmm.
and some easy things to prepare, some saltine crackers, some Gatorade, lots of water,
Right.
Tylenol, and a thermometer. And upon me arriving, he takes the thermometer and we're keeping our distance, and it was
100.4.
100.4. And that's always the indication that you actually have a fever is 100.4.
Right.
We know that from Marycarl's past history. That's considered a fever.
Yep, and the coronavirus. That's the
That's right.
100.4, and that's when
that's the
they
fever.
throw a red flag up.
Yep. If you got a fever or temperature of 100.4 or greater, then you've got a fever.
Right.
So, he quickly took the Tylenol, and usually Tylenol works pretty good for him. It takes his fever away, takes his symptoms away, and he's able to rest. And that was the case, right?
Pretty much, it went down to the 99s and never got to like normal. But I did start feeling better. But as the Tylenol wore off, of course, I didn't feel well. Well, the next morning I woke up and my temperature was normal, and I felt pretty decent, and I slept all night that night. And I thought, well, hey, maybe it's about over with. Maybe I just had something, a 24-hour virus or something, and it's gone. Well, me and Arlo went and checked on the pigs. Felt pretty much okay. And when we got back, and I think
You unloaded the truck.
unloaded the truck because we had brought a whole bunch of stuff over there to move to the new farm. And by the time I got back, I felt like garbage again, and checked my temperature, and it was close to 100 again. And I said, man, this is crazy. This is weird. I never felt anything like that. And then, of course, I take the Tylenol, lay down. It was extremely tired. And me and Arlo kind of just was lazy. We just kind of laid around. I know I took several naps that day, and it would come and go. The symptoms would be there, and then they wouldn't be there, and they'd be there, and they wouldn't be there. And I was thinking, when they go away, I'm okay, because I hadn't taken any Tylenol. My temperature's gone. I feel fine. And then, boom, it come back again.
And Marycarl and I went over to Prattville that day because
right.
we had been working pretty hard, and I felt like I needed to give her, some time to do some things she wanted to do because we had been tied up in packing and cleaning.
Yeah,
and
and she's been a packing machine.
She has. And so I said, since your daddy's under the weather and he's not home, we will go over there, over to Prattville, and just have a girls' fun day. She likes to eat at the Olive Garden. I give her every choice. Nothing against the Olive Garden. Nothing against Olive Garden, but I give her every choice in the world, and it always comes back to the Olive Garden. And y'all, this is what she eats: chicken fingers and spaghetti. But I always get the soup and salad, and I don't eat the breadsticks, so she eats all of those, and she loves the salad. So it's I guess a win-win for her because she loves bread and she loves salad. So maybe just the chicken fingers and spaghetti are just part of the she just eats it while she's there.
Yeah, I guess so.
So we went over there, and Jason's at the camper, and you are kind of keeping me updated in between naps.
Yeah.
And was that the day that you noticed the swollen lymph node?
Let's see, that would have been
Thursday.
Friday. That would have been Friday. Then
Yeah, this would have been Friday.
That'd have been all right. Friday, I felt terrible all day. It was Saturday. The next day is when I woke up, and then that's what day it was. It was Saturday, and then I noticed
we went to Prattville on Saturday.
Yep.
Because I thought to myself, people are off work on Saturday, and this place is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But I couldn't let her down because
Right.
we'd already talked about it. So it was Saturday.
It was Saturday, and I noticed under my left armpit was really, really sore. And nothing dawned on me at that point, it was sore. And I remember later that evening, I felt of it, and I was like, man, it's just sore. And you're just kind of rubbing it. And then I felt something, and then I remembered I got a lymph node there. And I actually ended up Googling it to make sure I was right, because sometimes, you think something and it's not true, but that was correct. There is it's called auxiliary lymph node, and it's under your armpit. As a matter of fact, I think it's 3 of them there.
Yeah, there's multiple.
And I felt that it was
throughout your body.
swollen. And I thought, I definitely got some type of infection.
Yeah, well, that's your body's response is to,
But the odd thing is typically those are not swollen under your armpit with a virus. It's usually in your neck and this area.
Yeah, Marycarl's have always, with all of her illnesses, I don't typically have swollen lymph nodes when I get sick.
I don't remember me having swollen lymph
Well,
nodes when I
she
get sick.
tends to have
Yeah.
a lot of swollen lymph nodes in previous years when she's had her active problem, and hers always swell right here. And if she's getting in any way sick, I can usually feel right here, and she's "Ah, mama," and it's usually tender and swollen all up under here. But you didn't have that.
I didn't have that. Just my left armpit. Well, the next morning I woke up.
No, you told me that evening. You said my lymph node under my armpit is swollen.
I knew that, but not the bite yet.
No,
I didn't
not the
recognize
bite.
the bite until Sunday.
But I was concerned at that point.
Yeah.
I thought to myself,
It's an odd place for it to be swollen.
I never had that happen myself, and only on one occasion had I known Marycarl to have that happen.
Right.
So, however, it could still be a viral infection. I was starting to have my doubts.
Yeah. Well, it concerned me, but it didn't concern me. So the next morning, I woke up, and it's still the same. The symptoms would come and go. The next morning is when my hand started hurting, my left hand. Matter of fact, I told you it's my three fingers, and it felt like they were jammed. And what it was, that was arthritis. And I went into the bathroom, and I was like, man, it was really, I couldn't put deodorant on. It was so sore that morning. That Sunday morning, under my left armpit was that sore. And when I lifted up, I looked in the mirror, and I saw the bite. And my initial thought is that it was a spider bite, because we had been moving all that stuff over there, and I just remember seeing spiders, and I just thought, a spider bit me, and that's what this is. But you immediately said, no, that's a tick bite.
You sent me a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I said immediately, Dr. Brooke said, this is not a spider bite.
This is a tick bite.
This is not a spider bite.
Yeah.
This is a tick bite. I said, have you not seen any ticks on you? Because we live in the South, and we do protect ourselves, but we can get ticks on our body in places that we haven't sprayed, meaning under the armpits.
And I will say this, here at the original Cog Hill, not that bad of an issue with ticks here, but I think that's mainly because our poultry, I think they just keep them under wraps.
Yeah, and plus
it's not that big of an issue here.
There's not that much grass here.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, there's woods, but we're not in the woods. We're we're in the center, and they want to habitat where their environment is.
At the new farm,
it's perfect.
We have found them crawling on us.
Right.
So I know that's where it came from, and I guess I got it.
It could have been days prior to that.
Because, I mean, I've been going out to the 40, not every day, but about every other day.
Well, what's odd, though, is you never saw the tick on you.
I never saw the tick on me. And usually, we've gotten ticks on us before. I mean, it's an
itch.
It's
an itch, and that itch makes you want to look and say something's there.
I never got itched or nothing.
Never got itched. He never got itched.
I never started itching or anything. It's itching now. So you were like, we need to go to the doctor.
Yes.
And me being stubborn or whatever, my initial thoughts were,
wait this thing out.
It's not that bad.
I'm thinking that we need to have some blood work done.
Yeah.
And we have 2 urgent cares in Selma. One of them's always closed on Sunday. The other one doesn't have the ability to get blood work back immediately. They have to send it off. So that was kind of a no-no for me. We can't go somewhere where we're not going to get results as far as what's going on. I wanted to make sure that you were okay and you didn't need to be in the hospital. That was my thoughts.
Well, also, I started getting headaches, and that Sunday I had gotten it on the back of my head back in here really started hurting pretty good, and that concerned me, and I started thinking meningitis. Or encephalitis. Meningitis or encephalitis. I thought maybe.
I'm not laughing. I'm just, you were so confident, kind of like.
Protege.
Yeah.
Protege.
I don't know what I said. I don't even want to mess myself up anymore.
So you were like, we got to go. And you called around and found a urgent care in Prattville
that was open.
That was open, and that did do blood work. They could do a CBC.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted a CBC, which is a complete blood count, to show what his numbers were. I wanted to make sure that his body was fighting off whatever this infection was and that it wasn't taking a hold of him before we could get to his regular medical doctor, which would be on Monday.
Right.
So we did that. They didn't take appointments. They said we'd take our last appointment at 4:30, and so this, it's going to take us 45 minutes to get over there, 30 minutes or so. So we get in the car and we head that way.
Yeah, we head that way. I'm still thinking that this is turning into something because, like I said, the back, and that's one sign of meningitis. Is that how you say it?
Meningitis.
Meningitis.
Uh-huh.
And is a stiff neck because you got swelling along your spinal cord. So, of course, that's really, really worrying me on the way up there.
You didn't tell me, though.
No, I didn't tell you.
I'm glad you didn't.
When we got in there, I got in there, and they took me in pretty quick. There
was only one other person in there.
Yeah, it was the paperwork, everything was super fast. Considering I had never been in there.
Yeah.
And so I went back there, and
they wouldn't let me go back because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I sat out in the waiting room, and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, I'm the one that asked the questions, and I'm the one that needs to hear the answers, and they won't let me go back there. And so they take Jason back there, and I tell the nurse, I said, are you sure I can't go back there? Because he didn't really know what kind of questions to ask. I'm not trying to degrade him or anything, but I got some things in my mind, and I need to ask him. And she was like, I'll tell you what. When the doctor gets finished talking to him, I'll tell him to come out and that you have a few questions for him. Well, that settled me down a little bit. So I sat on the couch and just waited on you.
Well, the first thing I told him is that the back of my head's hurting. And had I imagined it and turned it into a stiff neck? I don't know, because that's a telltale sign. And he was like, we're going to check you for it. He said, we'll be able to know with the CBC if you have...
Don't even say it. Meningitis
or not. And I said, oh, that's such a relief. So they came in, they took blood, and of course he asked me a whole bunch of questions, and, I told him I didn't know what kind of bite it was. I didn't. He said, we're just going to call it an insect bite for now. And he said that we're going to start you on some antibiotics until some further results come back that we have to send off. He said, we got to send off for Lyme. We have to send off for Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And so we'll test for those things. And
there were some other things too.
Other things too, yeah. But those were the two main ones.
Uh-huh.
So she came in, got my blood, and then it was pretty quick. It seemed like it was pretty fast. I don't feel like I was back there long at all, but he came back pretty quick and said, your blood count is within normal range, so we can rule out meningitis. Did I say it right?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
And I was like, whew, that was such a huge relief because we have a friend that got encephalitis from a tick bite.
Yes.
And he's had long-term, issues.
Well, that's not what his was. It was another word.
But didn't it turn into encephalitis?
It's something different.
Okay.
But do you remember, we haven't not talked about this, but do you remember when Bubba Holly?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Bubba.
And I don't know what his was. I want to say it was encephalitis. It may have been meningitis.
I think his was meningitis because they thought it came...
He was in a coma. Do you remember that?
Yes, and they thought it came from a mosquito.
And we thought that he was going to not make it.
Yes.
He had to learn how to walk again.
He did.
After being in the hospital for a very long time. So, we knew the dangers of what was possibly in front of us.
Right.
And that's probably why we took such immediate action as soon as we realized it was a bite.
Yeah. And then I was worrying after, I got in there and after maybe we should have been quicker, but
there was nothing we could do.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all indications of a viral infection until Sunday.
Right. There was
no evidence that a bite was there of any kind.
Until Sunday.
And, we're not the kind of person that wants to run out and thinks that antibiotics cure everything. We realize that they're needed on specific occasions. Right. And lo and behold, if it's needed, we take them. But we don't want to be on something if it's not necessary.
Right.
And, that's how antibiotics lose their resistance.
Yeah, because they're overused.
Overusing them. So we're not people that just jump at the first sign of possibly having a viral infection, but this was something that needed antibiotics.
Yeah, this needed antibiotics. And so he gave me the max dosage of doxycycline for 14 days. And he gave me an antibiotic cream to put on the bite. So it's been basically the same until, let's see, I got that was
Thursday.
That was on a Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
So that Monday I wasn't any better.
We didn't have a pharmacy open in Valley Grande or Selma that we used on a Sunday, and I knew he needed to get those antibiotics in him quickly.
Yeah.
And we had never used Walmart for a pharmacy, but I said, you got to get a dose in you tonight. So we left that doctor's office or that Pri-Med, whatever it was, and we went straight to Walmart, and you sat in the car while I quickly, believe it or not, got a prescription filled so you could take it that day.
Started my first one that evening.
That Sunday.
Matter of fact, we stopped at the Dairy Queen.
Yep.
And got me something to eat.
Yep.
Because you said because you got to eat with doxycycline.
Yep. I didn't want him to not eat. I mean, that's a must. You can't take that on an empty stomach.
Didn't have really much of an appetite. We're not fast food people. But I told you, I said, when I saw the Dairy Queen, I said, just take me to the Dairy Queen. Just let me get a hamburger and fries and just get this in me.
Yep.
And so that's what we did.
Took your first dose and
Took my first dose, and my symptoms were the same. I would come and go with fever, just random, just super random. Hot flashes. I started getting hot flashes where all of a sudden I would just start pouring sweat, and it didn't matter what the temperature was. I would just get super hot, start pouring sweat, and then my hand was hurting worse and worse, my left hand, and it was the arthritis setting in, all on the left side, and
which is where the tick bite was.
And then the headaches, and I'm still having the headaches now, but the headaches were there, and just the pure exhaustion. I haven't, until the video that came out yesterday, I hadn't even been down to the animals. I haven't done anything.
Well,
Absolutely
I won't let
nothing.
him, first of all. And second of all, he really hasn't had the energy to do it.
Haven't had the energy. I am averaging 2 2-hour naps a day, and that is the honest gosh truth. And it's literally, y'all, I can be sitting somewhere and I can fall asleep. I mean, I could absolutely. I've fallen asleep at the kitchen table once, and today I told you, I said I'm just pure exhausted, and you told me to go to bed.
Yeah, well, that's what your body's trying to tell you, is to rest.
So my symptoms have started getting better, and
you only had one nap today.
Only had one nap today.
I bet you're tired right now, though.
I am. I could have taken 2, I'm sure. But we had. It was. When did I go see? Chittum. You
went on
Today
Thursday.
Is Thursday. Okay.
You went on. No, today is Saturday, Jason.
Saturday. It was Friday. It was Thursday.
You went on Thursday.
Yeah,
we don't even know what day it is.
And that's my general doctor, is Dr. Park Chittum Jr., who's awesome.
Park Chittum.
Uh-huh.
I thought you said Chittum.
No, I said Chittum. It probably came out the wrong way, but
we don't want to upset Mr. Park.
No. He is awesome. And
well, I just wanted.
Well, the day before, I had an episode that kind of scared you, and it worried me just a little bit. I had gotten just out of the blue. I got super shaky.
Yeah, that's right.
And I got nauseated, and that's the first time I've had that symptom. I hadn't had that since I've been sick.
That was on Tuesday.
I got extremely hot, and so you made a call to my doctor to for him to check me out again to make sure everything was going okay, if I needed any more antibiotics or a B12 shot, and so you had some stuff.
And he was off. He was going to be off that day, so they said that they would like for Jason to see his primary care physician instead of somebody else. If we could come in the next morning, it'd be perfect. So that's what I did. That's what you did. Now, this was going to be on Thursday, and the people from Seattle were coming on Friday.
We hadn't even got into that yet.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. Yeah. So that's why I didn't go with you. You said that you were okay to drive.
I was okay to drive. Yeah, I was okay to drive. I felt, and that Thursday, that was probably my best day. I felt pretty good when I woke up that morning. Felt really, really good. Went and saw him, and he immediately said that, because we still hadn't got the results back.
No, we still haven't got the
Still
results
have not
back.
got the results back. We got one of the two, and
Well,
he got it back that day.
Let me say this. When I said that I wanted to speak with the doctor before we left the Pri-Med in Prattville, and he did come out
Yes.
before we left, and I looked at him and I said, do you think that is from a tick bite? And he said, I do. And he had said insect bite to you, but at this point he kind of confirmed that he felt like it was a tick bite. And that made me feel better because men just don't have a tendency to ask the questions women do.
Right.
I think for the majority, I think that's just the way men are. I think women just kind of handle situations.
Especially that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more. I need to know answers, and anything I could think of, I was going to ask. So at that point, I knew that's what it was in my mind already, but he confirmed it. So we're going into this, going to Park Chittum, saying he was bit by a tick.
Bit by a tick. And so I told him everything that was going on. He saw the bite, and he said, I'm almost positive you got Rocky Mountain spotted fever. He said, I've had it myself, and that he said he actually quit counting, but he get 10 cases a year, and most of the time it's always in July, or starting in July. So...
And Jason never broke out in a rash, which is why
broke out
it's
in a
called
rash.
Spotted fever.
Yep, I never broke out in a rash. But we read that that's not necessarily the case. Anywhere from 15 to 25% of the cases don't break out in a rash.
Right.
Matter of fact, he didn't say anything about breaking out in a rash.
And we didn't know how soon after the tick had bit you that you actually started the antibiotics, and that may have hindered the fact that you didn't have a rash.
Maybe not.
It may have had something to do with the rash not occurring because your body was already fighting off that bacteria that in turn causes the rash.
Well, he did get the results back, and I was Lyme negative.
Lyme negative.
So I'm Lyme disease negative, but the Rocky Mountain spotted fever results still today, and this is Saturday.
Yeah.
We haven't got them back yet.
We haven't got him back yet, but he's got a strong inclination that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And he says, if that's the case, the state will contact you.
He said the state, if it's positive, and as soon as those results are released, that the state will contact me immediately, because he said, you did the right thing. He said, because left untreated, it had serious consequences.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, he told me 20% end up in death. So he said, y'all did the perfect thing. Y'all did everything right. And therefore, I should be 100%, no issues,
no long-term effects, which was our concern because our friend who has, I don't know what the diagnosis is. It's not encephalitis.
But it was a tick bite.
It was a tick bite.
Mm-hmm.
He has had long-term effects, and this happened 2 years ago, I believe.
2 years ago.
And he has a lot of unwanted effects that will last probably the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And we have been so cautious and so careful because we've seen firsthand what they can do and the damage that they can actually, give you for the rest of your life. And we're so careful, but no matter how careful you are, you can't prevent one that climbs up to your shirt sleeve and attaches you and you never see it.
Never saw it. That was really, really odd. Never saw it. Now, Dr. Park told me that for the next few weeks, I'm going to be tired and you're going to have the headaches. He said, but all those are going to go away. He says, so just rest, and I have to stay out of the sun, or either I have to
cover up
because I can get pretty
sunburn.
It's
almost like a sun poison, I guess you would say, because
from
your body,
the doxycycline.
Yeah, your body would have an adverse reaction if you're exposed to sunlight.
Right.
So
I have to be careful there.
Well, don't worry. I'm going to keep you out of the sun. I managed to take care of some of the garden today, and
you have been awesome.
Well,
I cannot say it enough. You have been beyond awesome.
I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but I would like for you to know that Marycarl and I have things handled, and there's no need for you to get out of the bed to have to take care of anything because we got it covered, and thankfully we're here and we're available to help, and I mean wouldn't have it any other way,
right?
But I just it's just hard to believe that a tiny little
It is.
blood-sucking creature can cause that much disarray.
It is.
And-
It is crazy.
You know, if this is all you have from it is a couple of weeks of discomfort, you got off good
I
because
did.
they can have some effects that nobody wants to deal with.
That's right.
Nobody wants to deal with this, but I'm just saying, you know, you got out good if this is what it the length of.
Yeah, because like our friend, he got where he had a meat
I don't know.
allergic. He couldn't eat meat, and that's one of the things, and that's crazy. He
You talking about Bubba?
No, I'm talking about Paul.
Oh, okay. No, he smelled rotten meat.
Yeah, but that's when he was eating meat, though, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think that he just all of a sudden gets nauseous, and his brain has a smell of rotten meat.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
No,
it's so
I mean that
crazy.
tells you right there it's affecting your brain.
Yeah, it is. It's neurologic. I can't even say it. I'm not even gonna try.
Neurological. Don't consider myself to be a pronunciationist. Is
I'm
that
terrible.
what you would say?
I'm awful.
We're from the South.
I'm awful.
We're going to teach those Seattle people some words before they come here.
And that was the other thing.
Yeah, that was the
So
other thing.
you have been talking to a family for 4 or 5 months now. They
Yeah.
reached out to us, I mean, as soon as we bought the new farm, and just out of the blue sent you a message.
Well, common sense tells you
Yeah.
if you bought another place, then you're probably going to be selling the one that you're at. We didn't announce that.
No,
but
we didn't announce it.
she was smart enough to put 2 and 2 together and realize
And we're the very first people.
very first people.
Very first people. And she told you that they have been wanting to move in this area in the South for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, it's been going on for a while. And we've been keeping in contact back and forth, not knowing,
Right.
When the time would even be here that we could show the place. I mean,
Right.
we didn't know. We're just the kind of people that kind of put things off, I guess you'd say, until we have to do something.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but what happened was is we were kind of both waiting on each other to say when the right time was
Yeah.
to come for a visit, because obviously they had seen a lot through YouTube.
Yep.
I had sent them a lot of pictures, but physically seeing something is different.
Yeah, that's right. And then the other thing that's cool, that was interesting about them is it's almost the exact same as us. It's a mother and her son and her daughter-in-law, and they have a child.
Yep, a 5-year-old.
So it's a family of 4, just like us, and they were wanting 2 houses,
Yes, 2 separate houses, which was perfect.
which
And that,
was perfect.
that's kind of an odd thing. There's lots of things with, I guess you could say, garage type apartments.
I guess so. And she said that they had been looking and had a hard time finding that specific, just like we got.
Yeah, and they wanted, they wanted privacy, they wanted seclusion,
Right.
they wanted everything that we had to offer, and lots of pictures, lots of conversation, lots of talks about getting together. However, no time. I couldn't say a time because we are so back and forth right now
Right.
that I just wouldn't. I couldn't say July.
But
July the 15th. I couldn't say that because I felt like there was never going to be the right time.
right. But a date got set.
A date got set.
A date got set.
They
and
had a
so
flight to schedule for
a
Alabama.
flight already bought. Everything's done. This was several weeks ahead of time. And so we were
Preparing.
that were putting us even in higher gear. We were preparing.
We needed that, to be honest
We
with
did
you.
need it because it was just, it's just little stuff that, you're trying to sell a house. You just want it to be nice. You want it to be, in the best shape it can be in. And so that's just how we are. And we were just working. The bathroom, the master bathroom wasn't 100% complete.
Right.
And
I
it was
needed
just little stuff
I
here
needed
and
to
there.
grow out the shower, and I just wanted everything to look, finished when they
Right.
came, and it wasn't, and that kind of got us in gear to. Every time we went to the 40, we would take a load of stuff and just try to
Right.
minimize our things. And to me, when a house doesn't have so many things in it, then it appeals more to other people because they don't see it as yours.
Right.
They can see their things in it.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of what we were working towards in the meantime.
Well, we were working on it. and then the week before they come, I get the tick bite.
Yep, 8 days before they come, 8 days before they're scheduled to come, Jason gets the tick bite, and we're not done. We're not near about to the point where we think we would like to be.
And I'm going to tell you, you stained the deck.
I did.
You finished the shower.
I did.
Grouting it, putting the tile up.
Mm-hmm.
You cleaned up the whole place.
Well, I don't
in
know
the meantime, still doing the daily chores, still cooking 3 meals a day.
Yeah, I was tired, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't do it. I could.
You did a ton of yard work. You put out pine straw. You did a lot of cutting shrubs and bushes.
I got in red bugs in the meantime.
red bugs.
They're also called chiggers, and they bite really bad.
You cut all the grass.
I did.
You did. I mean, you did.
No, that's okay. We're not worried about what all I did. We were worried about you getting better.
I know, but you just did a lot.
But before I did a lot, we had decided we were going to take the Airstream over to the 40 because what an eyesore it is down there on blocks.
We did, and that was a main concern of ours too, because the Airstream, the Airstream is not going to be a 3-week job. That Airstream is going to be a year job of us working on it.
And we don't want to be hasty on it. We want to be able to take our time and actually enjoy putting the thing back together.
So even getting the flooring on, because that was our plan, maybe we can just paint it, get the floor on. But as I got to thinking about it, we got to get the floor on. I got to put the axles on. I got to put the gray tank in. Mm-hmm. I got to
put the belly pan
on. I got to plumb it up. I got to, halfway get some plumbing.
And electrical.
All before we put the shell on.
Yeah, before we could move it.
Yeah.
So then our wheels started turning and we started thinking, those people, they are not going to want to see this Airstream. We want to tidy up. We don't want to, and maybe we could just put the trailer back under it. It's got all the bracing in it. It's not like it's going to collapse. We've seen horror stories where these things just collapse in. But we've still got the bracing in it, which would not interfere with the trailer going back on. So our plan was, before Jason got ill, was to take it over to the 40.
That's right.
So we backed the trailer up under the thing, and we're so excited because the Airstream's going to be moved, and we're going to take 2 vehicles. He's going to tow the Airstream with the truck, and I'm going to follow behind, and we're going to get this thing out of there.
That was our plan.
But then he got sick.
Then I got sick.
And I couldn't do that by myself.
No.
So the Airstream stayed, and I'm just thinking, no, these people are going to see all our junk, and they're not going to like it. Who wants to see all somebody else's, I call it mess. Marycarl gets angry with me because she thinks there is no such thing as mess. But I call it mess or junk, and I just wanted the mess to be gone. And I couldn't move all the mess. So before we know it, Friday's here,
and
their plane's due to arrive in Birmingham.
Yes.
At 7 something that morning. No.
It was like 12
o'clock that night before.
Yeah. And then they're going to spend the night in Birmingham and drive over the next day.
Rent a car, drive over the next morning. So they go and they rent their car, and they had plans to be here mid-morning, which in my opinion is like 10:30 or so. So they ended up leaving Birmingham at 7:30. They rented the car at 7:30, 8:30, 9. They should have been here by 10. And time starts going away from us, and they're still not here.
Right.
They're still not here. And it's getting, I'm getting kind of concerned. And so I had her phone number. But however, they're from Seattle, Washington. So who knows how the service
it's a different service because we were having issues texting and even calling. It would go straight to voicemail.
Yeah, and the voicemail was not set up, and I was hoping I wasn't missing calls from her, and she was, I'm sure, hoping the same thing. So finally, I get a text from her, and it says that they have had bad directions, and they were in Mississippi.
They were in Mississippi.
and that's not funny to them because Mississippi is not Alabama. You don't have to go to Mississippi to get
from Birmingham to here. Mississippi is
not on the map,
not even close.
But they told people they needed to get to Selma by way of Highway 22, and the 3 different people told them Interstate 22 to
Interstate
get to
22.
Mississippi. And
Yep.
they didn't have any other form of way to get here except for what people were telling them. And so finally they ended up back in Birmingham and they had to start over, which, ended up being a very long day for them. And they get here about, 3 o'clock that afternoon? When they started driving
I think
at
so. I think that's about right.
morning.
I think that's about right.
7:30 that morning. Should have been here by 9:30, and they got here at 3:30. That was a long day.
That was a long day for them. Bless their heart.
So she texted me, and I no service in between. All I knew is they were in Mississippi, and the next time I talked to her is they were at the Valley Green grocery store. And when I got that text, I was like, hallelujah, they found it. Because I was so worried that they were stalled on the, I didn't know. I'm out to help people, and I couldn't help her because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So I said, stay there. I'm going to come and meet you. And so I went up there, and we had never physically met. So this was, it was going to be an odd situation for both of us. And she and her son were the only two that came because the daughter, the wife, and has to stay at home and keep the 5-year-old, which is a good thing she didn't come because...
Oh, my gosh. Can y'all imagine?
She would have been fit to be tied.
Ooh.
I told them, I said, Marycarl's 11, and she'd have been fit to be tied.
Yes.
And
Marycarl travels well.
Yeah, and it was no fault of their own. I mean, it can happen to anybody.
Right.
You just get turned around, and lo and behold, that's what happened to them. But so I took them, and they grabbed a bite to eat, and I said, bring it on to the house. You can eat at my house. Not that I was in a hurry, but I knew they wanted to, to mellow out a little bit and try to take a turn of their situation. So we come to Cog Hill Farm.
Cog Hill Farm.
They pull in the driveway, and I meet them at their car, and I tell them we'll go to my house, and y'all can sit down and enjoy your meal, and we'll just chat. And that's what we did.
That's what we did.
We felt like we had known them all their life.
Yep.
Or all of our life. It just was I never felt uncomfortable, not for a minute.
Nope, not at all.
I felt like this was meant to be, and I felt comfortable talking to them. I was not uptight. I was not trying to sugarcoat anything. We were just old friends is what it felt like.
Well, you've been talking to her for a while.
I have, but I haven't been talking. I mean, it's been text.
I got you.
Well, not text. It's been message, and it's been this, that, and the other. It's not been face to face, but it wasn't awkward at all. It wasn't awkward at all, and I don't think it was for them.
I don't think so either.
I mean, they were just down to earth, regular old folks, and I thought to myself, you should have lived in Alabama all your life because you're just like us.
Or either we should have lived in Seattle or
one or the other. But they didn't say y'all yet, so maybe
they didn't say y'all yet.
I'm gonna teach them. I'm gonna teach them some of these things.
And maybe they'll start liking sweet tea. And
cornbread. I thought to myself, if I had known what time they were coming, I could have made them a meal with some turnip greens and, of course, collard greens. Yeah. We wouldn't have had fresh collard greens.
No, not this time.
Boy, I could have made those folks up a southern meal that would have made them never want to fly back to Seattle. But I didn't, and I wish I had.
Yeah.
But so we looked at the house, and it was almost like they didn't even need to see it because they had already seen so much of it.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was just a recap to them. But like I said, I would want to put my eyes physically on something as well. I wouldn't buy something. I mean, we could do everything virtually.
Right.
But it'd be worth that flight from Seattle without all their ups and downs to come look at a house that you're potentially going to buy in Alabama. So we end the conversation with we're going to go to an attorney. We're going to have a contract drawn up. We're going to hope Jason gets better in the meantime to where we can, get back to our normal life. We're not going to push anything.
Right.
But they feel like it's a perfect situation for them to move into. They've got some things that need to be done on their end, as do we on our end. So I think it'll work out.
I think it's going to work out.
I think after we get a contract drawn up, I think it'll make us both feel better.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just legal binding. I mean, nothing fancy, not just wording that says we are both in agreement that this will happen. And, I mean, they don't know us other than YouTube. They don't know. And they brought this up. How do we know we won't sell it out from under you?
Right.
And then how do we know that they're even serious.
Right.
So, you know, it's scenarios on both sides that a contract would just make it, you know,
That's right.
us all feel better about things.
And official.
Yeah. And so that's the next step is they're going to be back in Seattle tonight about midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to show Monique the pictures.
That's right.
And Miss Bella, who's the 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they can see, you know, just everything they need to see. And we'll be able to get that in the works soon.
I agree.
But they liked everything they saw. And, you know, I mean, who wouldn't? It's Cog Hill Farm. Right?
That's right.
And they said that the little girl, they had been asking her, you know, what would you call the new farm? And do you know what she said? I think I'm going to name it Dino Farm.
Dino Farm.
Dino. I wonder if Nugget had anything to do with that.
I bet he did.
But they were just so understanding. And they know how long it's going to take us to build animal pens, this, that, and the other. You know, they were even willing to let us leave things here until we got the ability to move it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, just wonderful people. Just wonderful people, which I knew that all along, or I wouldn't have let them just, you know, randomly come here from Seattle. Not that Seattle people are bad, but, you know, that's a weird situation coming all the way across the country to come and look at a property. And neither one of us know each other.
That's right.
But it just worked out. And I had a good feeling from the beginning.
You did have a good feeling from the beginning.
I did. I mean, I've just felt like this is going to work out for both of us from the get-go. And I really, really have been telling everybody that's asked, well, we think it's sold, but we'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
So,
right.
You know, we just been telling people that because that's how I felt. I felt like it was sold even though they hadn't even been here.
They had first dibs on it because they were the first serious.
Right. The first serious interest.
Yep.
And so I spent today cleaning out back behind our barn, which we call it the junk pile.
The boneyard.
I don't call it a boneyard. Well, I took care of that boneyard. I'm gonna tell you. I got some things in some piles that need to be done away with. Needs to be given away.
Right. So you got it nice and tidy.
Well, I still got piles, but I'm better off than I was before. And you took a nap, and I harvested some.
I did take a nap.
Piper and Marycarl are here today.
Yep.
Piper played with Marycarl all day. And Piper has been eating a lot of pizza because their family just moved.
Yep.
So when you don't really have
they've been in the middle of a big move, and
girls always like pizza. When they come for a play date, I always go and get them pizza. Miss Brooke, I've really had a lot of pizza here lately. So I said, I tell you what, Piper. I said, do you like tomatoes? She said, I do. I said, well, if y'all will do me a favor and y'all go down there and pick some grape tomatoes, some sun gold tomatoes, then I'll make y'all this pasta dish that Marycarl loves.
Mm-hmm.
If you look on our website under recipes,
it's there. Sun gold pasta.
Sun gold pasta. It's very simple. It does call for 7 cups of tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes, which we
delicious.
had.
And you wouldn't have to use cherry tomatoes if you want to. You can use any tomato, but that's what it calls for.
So the girls picked the tomatoes, and Piper didn't have to eat pizza.
And it was delicious.
And she's still here.
One of my favorite dishes.
Yeah, Piper's still here, and she's occupying Marycarl, and all is well with the world.
All is well with the world. Big time.
Let's get Jason well, and everything will be well in my world.
I am on the up, though. That's the best thing. I am on the up.
Well, I think we've handled the situation as good as we possibly could. I'm just, you told me thank you for taking the situation under control and having the sense to take you on to the doctor on Sunday. And I thought to myself, well, I don't care if you fought me or what, you was going.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, I knew the necessary steps that needed to be taken, even if it turned out to be nothing.
Yeah.
Even if it was a virus, we had all our bases covered.
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad I did too, because, you know, looking back, if we had not started anything and we were still in that, you'd be in the hospital.
Possibly, yeah.
And Jason was born with 1 kidney, as we talked about before. And when he went to Dr. Park, he checked all of his kidney function, and he said everything was good. And that made me feel better. You know, I just wanted to make sure everything was operating. He was a sick man. Not to say he's not still have the bacteria in him, but you were sick.
Yeah, I was sick those first 3 days.
But I've
For
seen an
sure.
improvement. I don't know if you have or not, but I've seen an improvement in you in these last couple of days. Just your ability to, I saw you yawning a minute ago, by the way. Just in your ability to be up a little longer is
Yeah.
an improvement.
Yeah. Yep. I
And
agree.
I have plans to ride over to the 40 tomorrow, and I hope you will be improved enough to
Right
ride
over there. I think I will be.
Well, not to say you won't take a nap in the camper when we get there, but that's my plan.
I might have to take my little buddy with me.
Well, take your little buddy and take our little daughter, and we'll all have just a happy little
That's
family
right.
get together.
That's right.
No ticks involved.
No ticks involved. I will say this: since we got the camper over there, Marycarl is obsessed about going over there.
Oh,
She
she has-
absolutely loves the camper, loves going over there, and it has been such a joy to watch her.
Yes. Well, as a matter of fact, we have her little friend from when she was 2 years old recently moved to North Alabama. And they came down because her grandmother still lives here. So they came down for a visit and for her sister to go to an orthodontist appointment in Selma. And Caroline came over for a visit when she came to Selma that day. And Marycarl asked her, Caroline, do you want my mama to take us over to the land so that you can see the new camper? And Caroline, of course, was all for it. And I
Yeah.
said, Caroline, are you sure you've been driving all day? She had drove 4 hours almost
Yeah.
from North Alabama. And here Marycarl was wanting her to drive again
Yeah.
over to the land. And Caroline said, sure. And so here we go. We go over to the land. We needed to take care of the pigs anyway. By the way, they're fine. And Caroline, Marycarl got on her little side-by-side, rode around the land. Caroline got to see the camper. She's in love with it. So she likes to be there, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling because we were a little bit worried about the move for her.
Yeah, well,
I say a little worried, we're a lot worried, but she absolutely loves the new property.
Yes, and Piper and her family are relocating to a property that has a lot of acreage.
Yep.
A lot more than we have. It's about triple what the 40 is. If you
Right.
can do your math, you can figure out how much land that is. But Piper's going to have plenty of area to roam around on.
She is.
And Marycarl will be in a bigger situation, and they'll still be BFFs. I mean,
Yep.
there will be no stopping them as to seeing each other. Y'all don't worry about that. Don't say, you're taking them apart because,
No,
They'll be
they'll
together.
still be.
yeah.
We're
I mean,
still in the same area.
yeah,
so,
we're still in the same
yeah.
area. That won't hinder that. And she and Caroline are already planning for spend the night. Caroline's going to come spend the night in the camper.
All
and
right.
they've got it all planned out. So it'll be a win-win for everybody.
A win-win for
Because we'll be a
everybody.
little further north, so that means Caroline will be closer.
That's right. It'll probably knock out probably an hour off for a drive.
Oh, Caroline told me. She said, my mom said it's only 2.5 hours from your farm.
Oh.
So she knows already.
She knows already. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So
It's good.
And I also told her, I said, we could always meet you in Birmingham.
That's true.
And that would be about halfway for her mom and halfway for us. So
Yep. And we
Anyway.
can have a little fun time in Birmingham.
a little party time.
Yep.
Well, I meant, and she come back.
I know that, but still.
I didn't bring my water bottle, and I'm starting to get a
I
dry
meant
throat.
to grab me a cup of water, and I forgot to.
Okay, so that about covers our week.
Yeah. It seems
it
like
was
it's been a
busy-
month.
It does, and I hope to be back on this microphone in the next few days. But if we're not, so be it. Jason's got to rest,
Yeah. Got to rest.
and I let him make the call as to when he wanted to do this. He was up to it tonight, so we did it.
It was.
But now I got to take a little girl home, so
Oh, you got to take Piper home.
yeah, I got to take Piper home. I'm sure they are exhausted.
I'm
They've
sure
been
they've
going.
been.
They found a turtle in the creek that was literally this big around. And the next thing we know is they're gone outside again. So I just hope they don't bring that turtle back
I
up
hope they
here.
don't bring it up here either.
We might hear a knock on the door in a minute. It might be that turtle knocking instead
oh,
of
my
them.
gracious.
Anyway.
Oh, me. Well, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all be good.